I'm Ayodele Osubaku. Today on the program, Aruma Ote in our JH Weekend Special, Bajide Kolade Otidoju reports on the good things happening at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital in Diaraba. I'll be hanging out with Bajide Kolade Otidoju and Adekunle Yusuf. So I'm ready. Let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. For years now, the senseless violence perpetrated by herdsmen in parts of the country has left a trail of devastation as lives have been lost, families torn apart, and communities shattered. President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned the extreme violence and killings of scores of people in Benue State within 48 hours. The president directed the Department of State Services, the Nigerian Police Force, and military commanders to enhance surveillance on every front to immediately review the security management in the affected areas. On Wednesday, no fewer than 46 people were killed barely 24 hours after the same village and Idoma-speaking communities suffered an attack by suspected herdsmen that left 3 people dead. Also affected, suspected herdsmen on Friday attacked internal displaced persons, IDPs, camp at Agon in Makurdi local government area of Benue, with scores of people reportedly killed. This story is not funny. Jide, Benue State. Yes. I thought we had respite for some time, and Governor Otom has always been shouting about this herdsmen farmers clash, and he has been saying that if calling on federal government to do something about it. Now, the number of people I'm seeing here, it's becoming unbearable and very worrisome. 46 people, and Monday before, people died. And you know Nigeria, the way we keep figure, when you say 46, be assured that we're talking about 50-something or 60-something people.
About 87 people have died in 48 hours. 87.
87
yes.
In 48 hours?
Yes, because
that's the documented figures.
Are reported to have killed in that IDP camp. This is a secondary school that people go to, a school where people who have been displaced by herdsmen attacks go to hide. Now, they went to that IDP camp to kill people. It's not the first time that these herdsmen will go to an IDP camp to kill people. It's not the first time. It's not even the second time. So, why they would...
Is it that they are
killing?
We don't have people guarding those IDP camps?
You see, the security is not sufficient. They will overpower them, because in this case, even 2 policemen lost their lives in this attack. So you can put security men there, but if they are not sufficient, like the Chibok school, the famous school in Chibok, where they kidnapped, those guys, they had soldiers, but the soldiers were not enough. You see, sometimes when you imagine that, I have 20 soldiers, this place is protected. Do you know how many people are coming? Do you know the weapons they will carry?
The number of people that carry,
they will carry the same weapons that you have, because they do some reconnaissance of their own. We think they are ragtag, they are this, but they do reconnaissance. They have they use their drones. So if they do reconnaissance and they know the number of people that you have on ground, they will then prepare based on the information that they have. So this is the situation that we find ourselves. 18 out of the 23 local governments in Benue State, these killings are happening. And Gwe West, Guma local government, the local government of the governor, has been increasingly, consistently attacked. A lot of the killings that have happened in the last 3 years have been in the governor's local government. They even attacked his farm at a point.
Are these guys foreigners foreign headers?
I cannot say that. I know that when it comes to killings, sometimes the militia here employ the services of
Because
foreigners.
severally you hear the governor
that they
saying
are
that
killing people.
Fulani people from Mali, from the governor will be saying it from foreigners.
Well, the foreigners join in killing our people. That is a fact. But it does not mean that Nigerians are not killing one another. Okay, the people who killed those
Most of the time,
those church
retaliation.
people, the people who killed people in Owo, maybe they were arrested by DSS. Are they not Nigerians? Some of them from Kogi State. You know, so yes, sometimes they bring in reinforcement from neighboring countries, you know, but the fact still remains that these are largely Nigerians killing our own people. So in between 2015 and now, we have lost 5,000, up to the end of 2022, we had lost 5,138 people in Benue alone to herdsmen killings. In 2015, 1,177 people died. In 2016, it was 809. In 2017, just 43. In 2018, 440. In 2019, 88. In 2020, 2,131. In 2021, 172. And in 2022, 1,004. So there are years when it will seem that, oh, this thing has gone down. But since January, we've seen a spike in attacks and a rise in the level of fatality in Kwande and so many other places. It's like they suddenly, in fact, since March, since after the governorship election, they've killed so many people. Maybe at this time in excess of 300.
Adekunle, why do you think Benue is, like a prime target?
Historically, when you look at Benue, that's the food basket of the nation. So when you look at the population, the increase in population, predominantly farmers, they continue to do more of farming, make use of the land. But unfortunately, people from the northern parts of the country, the pastoralists, the herders, so they found that place one of the best, environment for grazing their animals. So there is conflict between farmers and herders. So that one is not new. But recent politics, made everything worse. You see, I was joking recently during the, campaigns for the general elections. And we said all of a sudden, kidnappings, terrorism, banditry, everything seemed to have gone down. We didn't hear much of that during the campaigns. And somebody said, oh, the patrons are busy now. You got my point? If you look during the elections, during the campaigns, did you hear of any?
No, we thought because of the election time, they will want to report what is happening in the political.
Somebody joked that the patrons were busy at the time, and we all laughed about it. Okay, what happened? It's one day, one calamity, one day, one wahala, one day, one problem. But throughout the campaigns, Nigeria became a peaceful country, and we were surprised. So when you now take it immediately after the election, then trouble started. Immediately after, February 25th, trouble started in Benue State. From February 25th and now, go and do your maths. How many people have died in Benue State alone? Of course, Benue now. So it all boils down to leadership. Because when I try to, you see, in Benue State, is there no solution up to today? The governor-elect was saying the state is on ICU or something like that. Intensive care.
Okay, Father Ali.
He went to meet President Buhari. And he closed down meeting. No, our politicians are sometimes. So he came out of the president's office and he was addressing the media. He said, the state he will govern is on ICU, intensive care unit, and is ready to rescue.
I know it's easier from outside to make such assessment.
It's easier.
It's easier.
You know, at some point, Autumn was seen as a champion of Benue people so much that he was even attacking the presidency at some point. What happened at last? He himself lost the people. Yes, he lost the people he was, saying to have been champion. At the end of the day, the elections there showed that he failed miserably in that state.
The new administration, because, I don't know, a new approach we have to deploy a new approach to our security, the whole of our security architecture, we have to change it, because we know that apart from these rangers and everything that the president-elect actually promised, we know that anything security is right on the table. How is he going to devolve power, or is still going to make sure that what is at the center is very, very effective?
Well, Benue is a peculiar case. I don't know anybody who can be governor of Benue who will not face this problem. They can ridicule or Tom the way they want. The former governor, the governor before Otom, Suswam, almost lost his life in this same way west. In fact, I remember when I went to interview him, I collected the video. They almost killed him. The convoy had to escape. Can you imagine? They attacked them. And when they were coming, it was cattle that was in front, like a screen. And they launched an attack on the governor. It got worse during Otom's time. And Otom tried to create...
his own farm, he was attacked.
Yes, Otom came up with the anti-open grazing law. Anti-open grazing law to ensure that you can't simply be grazing anywhere you like. Yes. You have to, and I think even the governor of Ondo State has done a similar thing. But that, in fact, worsened the things. I think that when it became clear that, look, Otom is leaving, this thing went up. Some of the research that I have done show clearly that this thing went up in the weeks, just a few weeks before the election and after it. On 14th February, they killed 5 people at the Nagi community of Gwe West. Then, even on 20th January, they killed 8 persons near their ADP camp in Makodi. They beheaded those persons and took away their heads. On March 13 was just a few days to the governorship election. They killed 50 people in Kwande local government. Kwande is along the border with Cameroon and close to the Cross River border. 26th of March, they killed 5 persons in 2 communities, Chagu in Guma and Unji. So they've never stopped at any time in Benue. It's just like Zamfara. We were saying it here when the Minister of Labour said bandits went on vacation because of Naira redesign. And I said the facts show that that is not true. And we reeled out the statistics showing that banditry never stopped. It never stopped. It's just a case of people focusing more on election. And during that time when people were preparing for the election, remember the issue of Naira redesign was also enjoying front burner
every day.
So they didn't focus on banditry, but it was happening in Kaduna. It never stopped. Even in Kogi, it never stopped. There are so many cases that we can recall that happened. You know, when they have said that is their own work. They don't. You go to work to anchor a program. That is their own work. If they stop, they will not eat. And when people say, "Oh, it's because of the naira," this is absolute rubbish. We have seen people who ask, bandits who ask for dollars. There was no time that they stopped kidnapping our people. The facts are there. So we just have to come up with the right strategy to address this problem. The coming administration has to get it right. They can't be killing our people in this way. They can't.
All right. In recent years, Nigeria has been plagued by a spate of terrorist abductions, especially in the northern region of the country. These abductions are often carried out by extremist groups like Boko Haram and Islamic State West Africa province ISWAP, who demand ransom payments or make political demands in exchange for the release of their hostages. It's a disturbing trend that it has affected thousands of people, including students, farmers, and humanitarian workers. No fewer than 60 people, mostly children, were on Friday morning abducted by terrorists in communities straddling Zamfara and Katsina states. Sources say the incident happened when the terrorists were moving from Sabubu forests in Zamfara state in neighboring Benue in Kaduna state. Although police authorities in the state are yet to confirm the incident, sources say the terrorists were fleeing Zamfara due to heavy military bombardment that led to the killing of over 100 bandits within the week. Killing of over 100 bandits. Jide, good news, but at the same time,
if it is true. If it is true, it's good news.
Coming with that caveat.
Because the media has a way of simply reporting these things without any shred of verification. You just hear that, they killed
okay. And you hear that a commander,
you were here one day when we were joking, when one of our friends who was a police spokesman was talking about 500 killed inside a forest in Kaduna. We said, look, 500.
500.
If you kill them inside that forest, even that alone can cause epidemic.
Yes.
Because you have not told us that immediately you kill them, you started burying them immediately. Because there are some communities even connected to this forest. That community connected to this forest too. So sometimes when we hear about these stories and we cannot, why I like our friends who practice abroad is they will say that this could not be independently verified. But our own people here, they will just simply go to town.
Copy and paste.
That is what is happening now. People don't want to add an extra line of investigation of their own to any story. The internet has made today's journalists extremely lazy. Whereas the internet is supposed to help people broaden their horizon. But it has simply made our people lazy. Where were these 100 people killed? You will not see it in that report. Go back and check. You will not see that, okay, this is the community where they were killed. How many days did it take for this operation
to mop up?
How long did this operation last? You will not see it. People are not ready to ask pertinent questions anymore.
How did we arrive at that round figure?
They will just give you one because they know that you are gullible. They know that you are gullible. They will simply give you. If you tell me now, Babajide, I've done so, I will say, okay, take me there. Let me go and see what you've done. You are not past that stage. You can't just tell me that, and then you expect that I will go and write it. No, now. No, now. Show me. Take me there. I'll be happy to appear at the scene to say, okay, see what I've done. See what because security in the heart of Gusau now, state capital, they are kidnapping people. They are kidnapping. Look at those university students. They kidnap them. They kidnapped the advisor to the governor of Zamfara State on political matters. They kidnapped inside the state capital. They're kidnapping people. See what happened in Kaduna. They went to pick students. They took students away. These things are happening. You cannot say security has improved. When you hear about high number of people, bandits slaughtered, you want to imagine that will lead to a lull in their activities because they are still mourning their dead or buried their dead. But at that same time, you will be hearing of killing. So it would then suggest that some of those stories are meant to downplay the negativity. I am for us defeating these people decisively the best way that we can. But I also know that there is a lot of work that needs to be done. I was in Zamfara in August. We ran into the bandits as they were operating. We were coming from Jengebe village. We ran into them. And our driver was saying, look, I will charge through. We said, no, you can't charge through. Don't be a fool. We had to stop. Because I had about 7 policemen. I've not told this story before because my wife is probably watching. I had about 7 policemen. And I could not be convinced that those people will still not slaughter us. We said, no, you can't charge through. Wait. Even if you have a Otumokbo, it may not work. Those boys too, they have it. Abi? We don't even know. Yoruba man will say, so mento she funi. So mento shogun funi. To logun òṣìṣẹ́. Bó ló ṣe mọ̀. So I said, you can't charge through. Stay. Let us wait for them to finish their crossing. They went to Rosu Katu. I will use the video. You will see where we stop, along with other vehicles. So this thing, the threat is there. It's like an ever-present danger. The boys don't want to give up this thing. You and I know that it's highly lucrative. And when a piece of business is lucrative, you will kill Nigerians. They won't stop. They are slaughtering them. They are beheading them in Southeast Asia. But they will still carry cocaine and go there. They are prepared. I'm going to Malaysia. You know, but Malaysia, big boy.
Turnover.
Yes, this is all the money. These bandits don't want to stop. And we have not been able to kill those. We always talk about those, their leaders, Dan Kreme, Bello Tuji, and the rest of them. Which one have you heard has been killed? Which one? Tell me.
You heard their commander, a Boko Haram major commander killed.
Or it will be somebody that you don't know his name, that you've not heard his name before. That's the truth now. Bello Tuji, he was even mocking the armed forces. And everyone knows that Bello Tuji is from Shinkafi local government. In fact, his hideouts are located
You want to go, you will back the chieftaincy too. But now, is it that I think, will it be fair to say President Muhammadu Buhari has given up on this, or is looking forward to a peaceful retirement, that what he promised us on security and everything, he has not achieved it to this level? Right now, he's just counting this to go back to Dara. Nothing can be done, that these people can be running riot like this.
Let's just, President Muhammadu Buhari has done his best. He too has said it repeatedly, that he has done his best. But in some areas, he's the worst. His best is the worst that we have ever got in the history of governance in Nigeria. But there are some areas where he did well, and we have to acknowledge that as well. But in the area of security, he's certainly going to leave Nigeria worse, completely worse than he met it.
But don't forget, he has acquired some equipment, and some are on the way.
Forget whatever you have acquired, at the end of the state of affairs when you took over and when you are leaving. See, Zamfara was not this bad before he took over. The entire north, west was not this bad when he took over. I was always going there. And I know Zamfara inside out. I know Sokoto inside out. So, but the truth is, the new administration will have to review everything, what has gone bad. He met a bad situation, he made it completely worse. So the new administration, what can President Montefiore do between now and May 29, when the Khalifa will take over, Asiwaju Tinubu? What can he do? No, tell me, what new strategy will he bring? What new ideas? Change of service chiefs, he has done it. What else will he do? So it's not that about giving up. He has done his best, and I don't know what he can do again. Don't you think Nigeria has really changed under him? Tell me, in anywhere in the whole world, a society, a country will lose over 100 people within a space of 48 hours, and there will not be total, gloom in that country? No, tell me, what has happened in Benue and Zamfara alone? We have over 150 within 48 hours. Who is talking about them? You see our politicians talking, hey, you are abusing me, Obidients, this thing, you didn't win election, you lost,
that is
you didn't
that
win.
is their own concern.
Trash from their mouth. Who is commiserating with who? Where is the national outrage?
It's like it's normal now.
Where is the national outrage? Under Buhari, this president, killings, loss of human lives, in humongous, numbers became the new normal. And that is bad. Okay, how many people have gone to, Benue? Even the governor of Benue was still going around following people to commission projects in some other places where his own projects, when his people are dying. You get my point? So we don't have the true leadership that we truly deserve. Because if we do, we will not be talking about this. Of course, accidents, tragedies will happen. We know that. But what are the leaders doing?
Should they remind us how many soldiers were actually killed in the Idris Debi's Chad? That time that they had to lead the onslaught against this Boko Haram, even into our territory. As in, they couldn't take it. The number of their soldiers.
They ambushed them and killed about 90 of them. And I think that in the end, about 101 died. They succumbed to their injuries.
But
he launched.
Got so mad.
He launched an offensive. He led the offensive by himself to clear that whole area, the islands of Boko Haram fighters, and even the weapons, Boko Haram weapons, he seized those weapons and returned them to Nigeria, because he said he would not leave so that those guys won't take over that place again, that he's going to hand over those things. Their armory, what made ISWAP very strong during that time, they seized the armory. They seized, when you see the kind of weapons, you'll be amazed. So he was embarrassed because during his time as governor, as president, that was the biggest loss that Chad suffered on Chadian soil. So he had to make them pay for it. Now, people losing their lives is not anything to us anymore in our country. Some of these things don't get reported. Remember, even on election day, these bandits in the Shiroro area, they were on the road. Yes, they didn't attack those who went to vote, but they stayed on the road. Our reporters reported that they didn't attack anybody, but they manned the road, trying to show that this is our territory.
We're on ground.
And on election day in Goza, Boko Haram fired RPG at voters in Borno State there. So this is, we are constantly buffeted, constantly attacked by these people. There's no let up. They don't give our people any peace. And I can tell you that it's part of why people reacted angrily. People voted the way they voted during the last election. Many people had hated the PDP for so long. But at the same time, they felt that the government, the incumbent government, did not do enough to protect them. If you ask any of them, they will say, look, this is the reason we are not going to vote for APC. And the best we can do for our people is to ensure that we banish this problem of insecurity, because we can defeat insecurity, or at least bring it to the barest minimum if we work hard enough. I'm convinced that this insecurity can be defeated. You can't be kidnapping more than 60 persons in Katsina and Zamfara. And as I always say, it's not everything that gets reported.
Of course.
There are some times that they will say, if you tell anybody that you are talking to us, that you are negotiating with us, we'll kill your person. And everybody will keep quiet. Will keep quiet.
All right. Now, let's talk about one of Nigeria's most celebrated exports besides jollof rice. Of course, Professor Wole Soyinka is not just a writer, playwright, and poet, but also an activist, critic, and all-round intellectual spark blog. The Nobel laureate has hit back at his supporters of Peter Obi for criticizing his comments during an interview on a television station where he described the Obidients movement as one of the most repulsive, off-putting concussions he had ever encountered in any political arena. Soyinka was reacting to the backlash he faced for criticizing the comment of the Labour Party's vice presidential candidate, Dati Baba Ahmed, who said in an interview that Nigeria had no president-elect despite INEC's declaration. Professor Soyinka has now stated that he would be willing to offer himself as for an open live debate with Labour Party vice presidential candidate. Adekunle, this is I've never seen the prof as angry, this angry before. And let's start from reaction of these are the supporters of Peter Obi particularly. Since the day before yesterday, like 4 days ago, if you go on Twitter and if you see the outrage against Professor Wole Soyinka, people that did not even seen him, people that did not even read his work, they don't even know how he became Nobel laureate. But, you know, everybody just see anything and they feel that, look, because I'm a supporter of Peter Obi, and that qualifies you to ride roughshod on anybody.
Honestly, I must confess to you, I'm extremely unhappy with the state of public discourse in our country. You must not raise your voice against, we are only talking about Peter Obi, not only Peter Obi. Raise your voice or criticize, any public figure. You will see his aides, his supporters, tearing you into pieces. And the way they do it, they use so much violent language that sometimes I say, is this the same Nigeria? Now, narrowing it to so Peter Obi, we have been, especially the leaders and their followers, we have become a country where you must not raise your voice against anybody. The principal, political leaders, you must not criticize anybody. And I said, what really mean it? What's really happening? Now, narrowing it to Peter Obi, I was shocked. You see all sorts of opinions. I saw somebody calling out the past of Professor Wole Soyinka, where he entered the studio. That should be 1965. God bless you. When they wanted to announce Akintola, he said, no, this. So they said, somebody with this background who put a gun to, a broadcaster's head is now the one, talking about some other people said worse things about, some said he funded pirates, or what do they call it?
Confraternity.
So many things. And I say, okay, even if you don't like the opinion of Professor Wole Soyinka. Is this a way to rubbish the man? We can disagree without being rude, without being, violent in our choice of words. So now, the professor, instead of allow things to line down, he said he's ready to
challenge you to debate.
A public debate. This is where I disagree with the Nobel laureate. You don't need it. And good thing, Daddy, I said no, in terms of level of achievement, in terms of age, culturally, everything, is not the type of person that can sit in the same podium with the Nobel laureate to this. That can never do that. Believe me, the professor does not need to sit.
That's like a high level of humility on the part of Dati, if he said so.
He said that.
What about
people
this
like Shehu
supporters?
Sanem said he should not do it.
He said so. He said
advised
that
not
in
to
terms
do
of level of exposure, locally, internationally,
What
level
is
of
he
education,
going to gain?
level of education, level of achievement, level of everything, that is never qualified to sit.
What is this? What is this campaign after election for these obedient guys? Because you claim to have gone to court.
It's not campaign after election. It's abusing people after losing an election. They are saying that they didn't lose the election. Now, they are not prepared to wait
for the courts.
And what the law says is that if you were patient enough to agree to go before a court, then you should be ready to accept its outcome.
Yes.
That is the normal thing. If you had made up your mind, okay, we'll decide this matter in court, then you should be ready to wait for its outcome. Because you are threatening Nigerians that you go on demonstration, this and that, countrywide. Do you know what you will face?
Threatening judges?
Threatening judges, of course, that is dirty. It's dirty. I don't know what came over him on the day. Many people respond to being interviewed in many ways. What he said was completely unreasonable and unnecessary. And Soyinka had some bias for the Obidient group. Soyinka had bias for this group.
Because of age.
Soyinka had bias for them.
Soyinka was looking for the younger person. So
yeah, Soyinka had bias for them. In fact, in some of his previous statements, he showed clearly that that is the person he preferred. Them. He never said for one day that he wanted Asiwaju. No,
he didn't.
That is the person that he preferred.
He didn't want Asiwaju. He didn't want Atiku.
The problem with the people that they call obedient is that even if you are the Holy One, if Jesus Christ comes back to the world and he criticizes Peter Obi, they will turn against him. They will call him names. The same way that the people of the biblical era hated Jesus Christ, they will do the same thing to him. Because I've never seen a people like this, that even the person who loves you cannot advise you, he cannot correct you. So what kind of people are you? Soyinka loved, this was the person that Soyinka wanted, but he didn't like the way that he spoke. I mean, let's face it, the way that he spoke was downright irresponsible. And I'm sure he knows it in his heart. You are facing the camera, you are threatening judges that they should not make the mistake of going to the inauguration arena and all that. You are telling the president, you are trying to goad the president to cancel an election, power that the president doesn't have. Now, this same you, that is, were the same person who was accusing El-Rufai of treason just because El-Rufai obeyed the Supreme Court and chose not to obey the president. So what we are facing now is a Jekyll and Hyde situation. He has a split personality. That's what we are saying. In one breath, he wanted someone to respect constitutional authority, to respect the president, because the president chose to respect the judgment of the Supreme Court over the president, whereas the law itself says that the president shall obey the order of the Supreme Court. It's there. So for that reason, you said he was guilty of treason. Now you are facing the camera. They even try to restrain you. You wouldn't listen. You say you don't fear anybody. You don't fear anybody.
You lost it.
If bandits come into your house, won't you beg them? You don't fear anybody. If bandits overpower your security people, they enter your living room. Won't you start begging them? When Nigerians say, I don't fear anybody, I don't fear anybody, it's because they have security. Let's go to Zamfara together without security. I know places that we can go that we may not come back alive. Let's go. Without security, let's go. You say, I don't fear anybody. You fear people, it's a lie. Bandits, if they enter your house, you will beg. You will beg because you can't overpower them. Where are you going to find the if you are going to do this thing, a hand combat with them? Have you got the muscles?
And big
Do you have the weapons that they have? You don't. The people should be able to correct. Look at Pastor Koju. Look at what happened to him. People should be able to correct these boys. But unfortunately, I agree with Kunleshi that Soyinka does not need to engage these people in the debate. It's needless. They are not Chinwenzu. They are not Ibrahim Bello Kano. These are not academics. They are not. They don't read. You think that these are academics? They are not Biodun Jaifo now. They are not academics. They are not Kunle Ajibade that you can argue with. You know? They are not literary people. Ask some of them how many books they've read this year. They won't be able to tell you. So are those the people? It diminishes you to even try to be talking about, because they won't listen. They are not ready for a healthy argument. All they're after is abuse people. Abuse people again and again and again, because that is what gives them orgasm. When you are abusing people that you know that ordinarily you cannot lace their boots, you are not good enough to lace their boots. But social media is a leveler. It allows never-do-wells to feel like, feel hip, to feel like they are somebody. So social media is the place where they reside. That is where they can abuse people that ordinarily they can't even look at them in their faces. So there's no point, no need for an argument, no need for a debate. What are you going to debate that way? So you can't that. I mean, it's a mismatch for that. It's just like I don't think I can last 10 seconds.
Oh,
the first blow to the head, I'm gone. I'm going to meet my maker. So that's the thing. It's a mismatch. There's no need for Soyinka to engage that. On what basis are you going to be arguing with him? Is he Sembene Usman? Is he Ngugi Wationgo? These are the people that you're on the same level with them. Is he Alex Laguma? These are your own people. Don't go into that. Leave Dati to be engaging TV anchors. Those are the people that you can be engaging.
All right. The quest for good roads in Nigeria, a journey that feels longer than the country's coastline. But fear not, dear travelers, as Lagos-Ibadan and Abuja-Kano Expressway will be completed by April 30th. If the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, his words are anything to go by. The minister gave the assurance at the pre-inspection of the completed Loko Owoto Bridge in Nasarawa State on Wednesday. Fashola appealed to commuters on that road for continuous patience and understanding, noting that it was a very busy road. Adekunle, for Lagos-Ibadan Express Road, we've seen activities and it has been intensified, and it's kind of hellish, making it from 7 up here just to cross to the other side. And if you are going from here to Brega, you can spend like 1 hour, 1.5 hours if you are moving during the high traffic periods. We've been enjoying this for years. But the minister is assuring us, but from what the level of work going on, I can see that they've expedited action on it. But from what I can see, I don't know, maybe it's achievable for them to finish that road this April. It said December before. But
I will be one of the happiest, to have the road delivered by
April.
Today is Nigerians, we've suffered so much. because of that road. And we keep hoping that they will finish. In the last few months, flying that road is one of the worst experiences you can have. And each time that road is blocked, it normally comes back to Lagos to knock down the entire metropolis. So now, with the rate at which they are going, I think Fashola is really determined that before the end of this administration, they want the road to be delivered. And that would be a beautiful thing. But from the remaining volume of work that I can say, I doubt if April 30 is achievable. But I want to trust Fashola that he knows what he's talking about.
At least, anybody going through this place, even our guests on a daily basis, and if you have to go, you experience what people are experiencing. The Lagos-Ibadan Express Road.
There was a day that I left the office around 10:15, and I got to my house around 1:40. Sometime last week, the Commissioner for Information, Benue Motor left his office at 10. In fact, he waited. He felt that, okay, anything from 10 that the traffic will have gone down.
Subsided.
He left his office here in Alausa and didn't get to this area until 3 hours after. You can imagine just from Alausa to this place.
So true.
It's not ordinarily, it shouldn't be more than 10 minutes.
Maximum.
Honestly.
It shouldn't be more than 10 minutes.
From that secretariat
yes.
to this.
And 3 hours was what it took him. The day I spent 3 hours, before we even got to even get to do the U-turn here, you could spend up to 2 hours on some terrible days like that. We were running around, we didn't know what route to use. When I got to Agidingbi, I saw that I couldn't pass through Agidingbi because it was blocked. We went to Ikeja. From Ikeja to link Ogba. Ogba was blocked too because the gridlock started from Baja.
Yes.
Right
so
up
people
to
escaping the main express who want to go through.
No, they are going. They too want to hit the express. They want to hit the express. So because Isheri Road terminates, Isheri Road, it begins from just after Ogba. Isheri Road, that is now called Ogunosi Road. It terminates in the Baga area.
Okay.
So to hit the express was a problem. So that traffic stretched from the Baja area up to what was it called? Just before the road that leads to Pennsylvania. They used to call it Abattoir. There's one, the local Abattoir. No, it's not Koba. Around that place where you have Mobile.
Okay, Ogba.
They call it Odoeron. Okay. That's Odoeron now. Going towards Akilo. So it had already stretched to that point. Then, but no one was coming. People are not coming
through that side
from Baga going to Ogba because it was late. It was like at the time I got there, it was already like 12:30. So we crossed to the other side and then went to College Road in the hope of using Iju Road to get to my area, Nakute. Now, to my left, trailers, vehicles that were trying to get onto Ogba and then link Ogunosi Road or Isheri Road, that it used to be known. Those ones, it has stretched to Jungle. If you know Jungle, it has stretched to the T-junction. that one going to Iju Road. By the time I got home, it was like 1:40 a.m. You know, if you continue to face this kind of problem, it's like dying instrumentally.
Honestly.
There's no way life
How we live
expectancy
in
in
Lagos, I don't understand.
See,
How we survive Lagos traffic?
what he experienced 2 weeks ago on a Wednesday. You know, I left Unilag around 8.
This is just like a typical
Because this is only one side that
a
is
typical day at Tedola Beach.
I left Unilag around 8 p.m. I didn't get to this side, K2, until around 1. How? The traffic from Bega, you know, had spread all the way to Yaba, to every other place, and the whole place knocked down. It was a terrible day. Do you know many people around my place came back home 2:30, 3:30 a.m. People left their work. So if that road is delivered, it will help the traffic situation in Lagos State as a whole. Because every time that place is knocked down, it usually, you know, impacts, you know, traffic activities in the state.
Julian, this was so strategic.
Very
Moving
much.
out of Lagos. Moving out of Lagos, you want to collect the southeast, you want to go
Even
to
north.
other parts of the southwest.
It's a gateway.
That's like the only major route
yes.
we have out of Lagos.
It's
and
the
people
gateway
coming
to
in.
the rest, even to most parts of the southwest itself. Lagos is part of the southwest. Is the major gateway to other parts of the
So
south.
coming from Abeokuta,
You know, the Lagos-Badon Expressway, the bulk of it is actually Ogun State territory. Only a small part is Lagos territory. Only a small part is your territory. The bulk of it is actually Ogun State territory. You know, now what Fashola is saying is, on a daily basis, that road moves no less than 40,000 vehicles on a daily basis.
40,000.
So the choice that they have two choices. Shut down the road. Shut the road down.
Which will be catastrophic.
Which will be, in fact, is easier contemplated than implemented. You want to kill people. So, or close one part to traffic so that repairs can go on, so that you can save the lives of even the construction workers. Because if you want to continue building the road and you don't shut down one part, you are not going to protect the lives of those people. So what Fashola and his team have been doing is, let's close one part, use the other part. But because of the heavy traffic on the road, when you shut down one part, people suffer, whether at night or in daytime. Because I know that in Lagos, articulated vehicles have been told not to even move in daytime. So you now see that by the time when some of us have closed for work and we are going home in the night, that is when those articulated vehicles are permitted.
Loading from Tinkan Island, loading from...
They are going
the ports.
With trucks, loaded PMS and all that. And then there are also vehicles that travel at night. A lot of the commuters too travel either small vehicle or luxury buses. There are some that it is only at night that they move. Night traveling has not been banned. Road safety suggested it. They even wanted to be allowed to work in nighttime, but their law, the law setting it up does not permit its operatives to operate at night. So night traveling, despite all the risk, is still very much popular in our country. So that's why today, as I was coming, despite the fact the road had been partitioned for the reconstruction to happen on one part, I didn't face serious problem. But in the night,
Sunday.
It's Sunday, then there's holiday, but there's no guarantee that even in the night.
Yes, now when people are coming back.
And when those big trucks, another problem is with those big trucks, where small vehicles can cram themselves up into one lane, two can move side by side on that one lane. If a trailer is beside you, both of you cannot move on that. You have to then move on a single file. And that prolongs travel time. But I know that this is a sacrifice that Nigerians have to make. We just have to make the sacrifice, hopefully, by April 30, this whole waiting game will end. He was saying something about the fact that they will leave a 9-kilometer stretch undone because Lagos wants to construct drainage across that area.
Okay. So, now I understand those areas, because those areas that they did not touch at all.
Flooded. They said usually flooded, and Lagos wants to construct
the drainage. Okay. So, now I understand, because I was about that April 30 is what I was contesting against. That look, I see of some part of the road that has not been touched at all.
The waiting for this road has been too long. Remember, when this government took over, they didn't do anything on the road for some time. They said they wanted to review the road. They redesigned some parts of the road, and by the time they lost valuable time. If they are continuing at the pace that Jonathan started it, honestly, within 2 years at that time, the road would have been completed.
Even there were times that even disbursements,
money, funding,
yes. In the entire budget, no kobo was allocated.
And I noticed Julius Berger, once you stop the funding,
they later took money from sovereign wealth.
They'll just leave the
during Saraki, I remember that time. So,
all right.
And there's some money too from Abacha.
Yeah, that's LUTH.
They used it for this road and for the second Niger bridge.
Okay. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We'll be right back for the next half.
Every major news story is with Benue perspective and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV station of the year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Lagos is the most visited state in Africa as the 5th largest economy on the continent. Covering the state and its government is no mean feat, it's a busy beat. We go beyond the curtain of tapes to traveling far into the deep.
I want to thank the Lagos State government for the healthcare facility.
To bring stories that cut across all spectrums.
A greater Lagos shall be ours.
We tell you stories that define our collective well-being as Lagosians. I'm Adedoja Salamadini. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is the second half of Journalist Hangout on Sunday. And I still have Babajide Kolade Otitoju in-house and Adekunle Yusuf. Nigeria continues to borrow more and more money. And some say that it is starting to feel like a never-ending episode of Who Wants to Be a Billionaire. Former Treasurer and Vice President of the World Bank, Aruma Ote, has lamented Nigeria's rising debt burden, likening it to a man with a full family who spent all his income on paying debts without consideration for feeding, healthcare, and education of his children. Nothing that Nigerian leaders have does not have enough to ameliorate the hardship in the country. Adekunle Yusuf, I don't know, as at the last time we checked, somebody was, I'll check now, but administration is going to leave 7 trillion.
No, that is, if they add the CBN, they've been taking loans from the CBN to pay salaries and all that. They call it ways and means. We've talked about it here a number of times. And the World Bank has been saying, stop taking these loans from the CBN. If they add the loans, the overdraft that they've been taking from the CBN, at the end of this year, it will come to 77 trillion naira. So the current figure of 44 trillion it does not include what they borrowed from the CBN.
77 trillion.
At the end of this year.
In my whole life, I can't, because yes, they will tell you that we've been building infrastructure. Yes, they will signal Lagos Ibadan Express Road. They will tell you Abuja Kano Express Road, second Niger Bridge. Train stations and everything. But now, what we now pay for debt management is more than the income that is coming in, and that is the mathematics that I found it difficult to comprehend. When what you used to settle your debt is more than your income. That's crisis.
Well, by the time historians, finally do their work, I know for sure, this president, this administration, failed woefully on 2 counts: security and economic management. How do you justify these humongous borrowings? You can't prove to me you built, as Nigeria become a Dorado under this administration. Of course, we need infrastructure. Everybody knows that.
But the deficit is very high.
But there is no administration. That's why they say government is a continuum. There's no administration that can do it, finish, the job. So, if every administration has been doing this, I don't know whether we'll still have a country. I don't know whether we'll still have a country. And I believe even the incoming administration should also be worried.
What they are going to inherit, the liability.
When Godwin Obaseki, blew the whistle that time, that they are borrowing money from the CBN.
But they were even printing money.
Okay. It's the same thing. Whether you are borrowing, you are printing. When you want to
printing money,
okay. When you go to CBN, it has to print. That's the language. Whatever. Do you know that it was roundly criticized, but later it was found to be true, and that is jackboot economics. Why would you do that? It does not make any economic sense. Yeah, you want to do that to build railway, you want to take money. I think, is it China that turned down our loan request? I think
loan request.
2 loan requests.
Which is unusual.
No, they concluded that we can't pay.
China, who has become turned down 2 loan requests from Nigeria. And ordinarily, why would an outgoing government still embarking on the borrowing binge? The ones you have borrowed over the last 8 years, have you, exhausted everything? And this National Assembly, we also, be fingered in all of this, because why is it always in a hurry to approve the borrowing for the President Muhammadu Buhari administration?
The federal government has not done anything illegal.
All over.
It has been approved. It's always
Every money
approved by
borrowed by this administration was approved. by the Senate. I mean the National Assembly.
Actually, that's where the problem is now. We have to look for a mechanism that can stop any government at all, not the Buhari government, even the government that will be coming.
Maybe a law.
There should be a cap. There should be, I don't know.
Even
Maybe
if they don't put a cap, creditors will stop. We have started saying that.
Just like China.
They will stop.
And
because creditors
that means
want
our
to-
credibility has gone down the drain.
Creditors want to see whether you have the capacity to pay. It's just like somebody coming to me to say, okay, Jide, out of your meager resources, borrow me so. There are people who ask you to borrow them money that you will be excited to even do it. Because that person, in paying back, he could even give you extra money. I've been in that situation before that. You bail me out the other day, take. When you now counted, you saw that it's even higher than what you do. So,
yes.
But in this case, you will no longer be credit worthy before your creditors if you do not do anything about your unusual appetite for borrowing money. You know, the truth, as I always say, always wins. Whether you are using it for infrastructure or not, you have to slow down at a point. Even this CBN, Senate president, who made it a habit to always grant the president's request. Some months back, he was complaining that we were taking too much loans and that it was not sustainable. If you Google it, you will see it. Because that day, I was like, no, it was just, the complaint was not as he was trying to give a loan. He was evaluating what they had done. And I'm telling you that if you ask him now, and the president is not listening, he will most likely tell you that, we shouldn't have given approval for all of those loans. Because a time comes when a man has to do some soul searching. He has to ask himself questions. What have we gained by this constant approval of these loans? Because we are further hurting the economy. Nigeria in the first quarter, I think, of last year, first quarter of last year, we spent more than 100% of our, I think 186% of our revenue to service debt. During that period, even South Africa, that their debt is higher. They spent just 20% of their own receipt, which is their revenue. 20% of their receipt was what they used to service them. How can you use 186%
of your revenue?
I'm not talking about the whole year. I think just it was just a quarter. Things can normalize themselves in the course of the year. But even if it's for a quarter, debt servicing should never outstrip revenue. You know, many times I've talked here about the need for us to always look at debt to revenue ratio. People always say debt to GDP ratio. In our own case, it's not working. If we keep telling ourselves that, our debt to GDP ratio is high, then we will borrow ourselves into extinction. We will not, because a country like Japan, a country like US could say, yes, our debt to GDP ratio is fine. But Nigeria, the problem for us is that the revenue is not there. And that's what makes it unsustainable. Look at, between 2015 and 2021, we spent 14.86 trillion to service debt. In the 9 months of 2022, we spent 3.4 trillion to service debt. Now, between 2015 and 2021, the revenue that we generated was 25.43 trillion. And we've taken 14.86 trillion out of it to service debt. if a good chunk of what you generate goes to debt servicing, where are you going to find money for infrastructure? Where are you going to find money for health? Where are you going to find money for education? Where are you going to find money for climate action? Like what we experienced last year when all of those states were flooded. What kind of climate action can we come up with when the funds, we've used the funds that are available to us to pay debt. The rest of the funds we use to pay for subsidy. So where are we going to get the money for social services, things that move the economy, things that drive the economy, things that make the people happy? So taking loans, no matter what you want to do with it, whether it is infrastructure or you want to use to pay ASU debt, this and that, there has to be moderation. And that's the point that this woman is making. Remember, Okonjo Iweala herself, and even Adesina, early last year,
African Development Bank,
they were warning that, look, we needed to do something about this, but there are some people who come and say, no, that they should not talk. At least we can see what they are using the money for. Oh, now China, the whole country, everyone, it will get to a point that nobody will give you again. So make up your mind up that you want to look inwards. The incoming administration has to look inwards. We have to do something about revenue so that we can find money. If we are able to make more money, earn more revenue, you don't need to be borrowing like an accumulator like this. You don't need to do that.
So it's okay.
For example, just to when they increased VAT, do you know it was an economically stupid decision? When you increased VAT, you are trying to stifle, consumption, production, because the rate is not what matters. It is the volume that you collect that matters. What have you benefited from that? There are avenues to make money, but we would not use. Nigeria loves to borrow money, to print money, to go to cement, to collect more money. At the end of the day, what have we become? The poverty capital of the whole world. Has our economy been this bad?
No, it's
it has never been this bad. There has never been at any time in our history that level of corruption, level of poverty, level of hunger, level of unhappiness,
unemployment, inflation,
everything.
Officially, 130 million people poor.
And multidimensionally poor. You know what that means? So it is because of these kind of decisions that spirals into every other facet of our national life. And the ordinary folks, the masses, are the ones that bear the brunt most. This government will go, another one will come. Then it will start now mopping up all the debris all over the place. I'm really, really sad about it. Of course, they will deliver second Niger Bridge, then Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Abuja, Kano. I beg, go to a small country like Republic of Benue. Roads like Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, go and check. That are just one way. They will dualize it. You will see. Here is just the roads. We had no traffic light, nothing. And the quality of the public construction you see in Benin Republic, I said, even Julius Berger, our own, we begin with envy. I said, what? And there is no construction that must, past 24 months. They beg it. Even where there is no road, they are busy working day and night. Not this intermittent.
You know what our people, what the government has failed to do for clearly selfish reasons is to get the private sector a lot more involved in delivering infrastructure, quality and game-changing infrastructure. in Angola, they built a new refinery through build, operate, and transfer. Because the funds are not there. But if we get the private sector involved, they can build for you, and they'll use it after some time, and then transfer to you. But to think that you can raise the money at all, you must raise the money, award contract, this and that, because there is usually the avenue to make money. It is what is killing us. If we bring the private sector into this whole thing, not just in Nigeria, bring foreigners, get them, bring foreign companies, get them more involved. Like you want to build power plants, you say, okay, General Electric, come and build power plant for us. Let's do build, operate, and transfer. There's no way. You have lost nothing. You have lost nothing. At the end of the day, the transfer will be done after a few years. Once they've made their money, it becomes your own. This is what globally, this is what countries are doing, because government will not be able to find all the funds.
Efficient. That's what Wale Babalaki
They will run it
doing
efficiently. The government will never be able to find all the money that it needs. We have to realize that. If we try to do that with refinery, by now, maybe we'll have 2 new refineries.
Yes, even more than,
I will know that after a while. But to not even attempt it at all, and you can see Angola, not far away from us, Angola has done it. We are not making enough money from crude oil for all kinds of reasons. 1.8 million is your quota. You are struggling to do 1.2. OPEC gave you a quota of 1.8 million. You are struggling to do 1.2. Where are you going to? And part of this money, NNPC is allowed to use it to pay subsidy. Where are you going to find the funds to fix infrastructure, to do the things for which you are now taking loans all over the place? I'm happy that, yes, we have some infrastructure that we can point to, but this infrastructure have come at a huge price. Because whether Nigerians like it or not, you must pay this debt too.
What is the $1 billion
you will pay?
We invested into these refineries? Have they finished the turnaround? Recently,
nobody is talking about
we were told that $1 billion for the 3 refineries or 18 months. By now, it should be up to that 18 months.
Against that, but the government had its way, and they borrowed that money to do the turnaround. And at the end of the day, you see, he was talking about bringing in, the private investors, not only even in infrastructure. I'm talking about petroleum sector. You can do it for health. For example, you want to have specialist hospitals, cancer, this and this. You want to have 10. This is you bring in people, they will do it. You won't budget a dime.
Yes.
Build, transfer, build, operate, and transfer. Nigerians will not bother whether these facilities were brought in by Ghanaians or people from Sao Tome or whatever, as long as they have access to it. And these things are working. You can do it in the power sector, you can do it in the health sector, you can do it in education.
Once it's infrastructure, they can.
You can do it in education.
For road, you told it.
Yes.
If
you tell me that I can go from here to maybe Osun or Ekiti, on a new brand road that will be told
3.5 hours to get to
that from here or 2 hours Ekiti. I am in Osun State, I will be glad to pay.
Honestly.
Instead of passing through, you understand what I mean? So these are ways we can, accelerate our development pace. But we don't seem to like it. In 8 years, how many refineries? Let me tell you, nobody can remove fuel subsidy without, first of all, undo local refining of crude oil. If you don't, you will worsen the already bad situation. But in 8 years, how many refineries have come up?
It's not looking really good for the first 6 months of the new administration. Because there are decisions that we expect them to
very
take.
painful decisions.
Very painful decision. This fuel subsidy is topmost, and administration that is going to inherit 77 trillion. I don't know.
You know, when there are some decisions that you have to take and brush aside the emotional.
Yeah, it will be painful.
Yes, brush aside your emotions and just go ahead, take those decisions.
You know, if we go,
Mr. President,
that's what you are saying now.
Mr.
If we
President,
finally meet ourselves on maybe 700 naira per liter.
I don't know whether you can get to that. I don't know.
Or 500.
You see what? Look, even beyond. Let's not even. It's not about fuel subsidy alone. When I'm talking about painful decisions that have to be taken, look at our bureaucracy. Is that bureaucracy?
It's not.
The need to keep that bureaucracy going is the reason they are going to borrow money from CBN and all that, because they are using this money to pay salary. When it was first suggested, they said no. Some people said it was a lie, but it's happening. All of those, they call it ways and means, but it's actually you are borrowing from CBN, 23 trillion now. So you have to look at keeping the bureaucracy nimble. Is it everyone in the federal and state civil services that we require? Do we need to have 9 drivers in one office with about 5 of them simply lounging, having nothing to do? So, you know, it was suggested that the government should look at the federal civil service and purge it. Oronsaye wanted a streamlining of the ministries, agencies, and parastatals. But I'm even talking about suggestions that other people made, that look at that civil service, federal civil service, is too large. It's not sustainable. You need to
right side.
Trim it. Actually, Bola Ahmed Tinubu did it here in Lagos. It was a very unpopular decision. There were demonstrations. Remember what happened in that era? But he insisted that he had to do it. We can't. The bureaucracy that we have is not sustainable. We are deceiving ourselves. A time will come when we will tell ourselves that look, enough. We can actually run the government in a much leaner manner. Look at even the National Assembly. Are we saying that we can't take steps to cut costs? What steps have been taken by this outgoing administration to cut costs across board?
No.
Nothing.
No, they increased.
Even despite the fact that they were finding it difficult to pay salaries and all that without resorting to the CBN, they still didn't do anything about cutting costs. Remember what the governor of Kaduna said? He said when they suggested that the what's it called should go, the subsidy should go, that President Buhari was the only person who insisted that he would not remove it. He was the only person. Everybody agreed that this thing is not sustainable. Why should we be spending that much just to paying subsidy? And he said no, that he will not remove it, that it will cause the poor people to suffer. But it has made billions. It has made some people billionaires from just outright stealing and falsifying the figures, falsifying the amount of PMS we consume on a daily basis. And they are the ones removing the money by themselves. It's not the National Assembly appropriating money to them for subsidy. On their own, they are paying, which is even strange.
Look at VAT that I mentioned the other time. There are many studies. VAT is not a federal government affair. It is state by state affair. You just work out the modalities. If possible, reduce it. It is the volume that you collect that matters. The sharing, do you know, through VAT alone, Nigeria can revamp its economy. We are talking about oil subsidy, oil, petroleum, all those things. Without much revenue even from oil, through VAT, Nigeria can, recalibrate its economy. But not through a federal government agency sitting over it. State by state, do you know Nigeria can generate more than 40 times of what it is generating through VAT? It is not the rate that matters, it is the volume you are able to collect.
But even the economy is gasping now.
And there are expert findings to this point. You get my point? So these things are there.
All right. And finally, setting the bar high for medical excellence with its state-of-the-art facilities, dedicated staff, and commitment to putting patients first. This institution is a proof that good health care is not just a pipe dream in Nigeria. Today on JH Weekend Special, Babajide Kolade Otitoju takes a look at the good things happening at Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Idiaraba. Details in this report.
Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Idiaraba, was established in the year 1961. Affiliated to the College of Medicine, University of Lagos, it trains students in medical, dental, pharmacology, and other disciplines. The nation's foremost tertiary hospital has more than 970 admission beds, 46 clinical departments, 18 non-clinical departments, and outreaches, more than 2,300 staff, comprising of consultants, resident medical officers, nurses, pharmacists, physiotherapists, medical laboratory scientists, nutritionists, hospital administrators, engineers, and other categories of staff. I had heard of many good things happening at LUTH, but I didn't visit the sprawling teaching hospital until Friday, the 24th of March, 2023. It was the last day in office for Professor Chris Bode, Chief Medical Director of the institution, after 8 years of meritorious service. Gathered inside the boardroom of LUTH on this day for a special valedictory session for Professor Bode are his colleagues, management committee members, and other stakeholders. Speaker after speaker showered encomium on the outgoing CMD for changing the face of LUTH.
Make sure that he has an individual connection with almost everybody. He supports and nurtures. He shows interest. He's not a leader that is distant. He shows interest.
He believes in quality. I'm not just a staff of LUTH. I was a patient of the CMD. That was how it began. So he goes about shopping for talents.
Professor Bode is credited with unrivaled passion for the development of LUTH. Someone who likes to improve on something already good. I spoke with Professor Bode on his time at LUTH, and I was able to arrange the changes at Nigeria's biggest teaching hospital. Having worked cumulatively for 41 years at LUTH, it was not difficult for the distinguished pediatric surgeon to identify LUTH's biggest problems and find solutions to them. Industrial disharmony, leading to perennial strike, was a big problem at LUTH, which made progress difficult to attain. Professor Bode explained how he put an end to constant industrial action at LUTH.
I got very good training here. I saw the best of things, the way things should be done in a tertiary institution. I saw the decline in the late 80s and early 90s. We had mentors, we had mentors, giants in the field. But not just giants, they they had principles, they had great ideas on how things work.
There was a time when from different parts of the world, people came to LUTH to receive Medicare. Professor Bode spoke nostalgically about that period just after Nigeria's independence and the brain drain of the 1980s.
Security, better pay, better prospects, housing prospects, the children's school, access to and all that. So job satisfaction. So these are many factors that pull them out. We need to grow our own medical economy. Why don't we make it an economy whereby everybody will be covered through a national health insurance scheme as contained in the Act, National Act now. And then we make the National Health Insurance Authority to pay good wages, adequate wages, wages we can take home.
Constant, uninterrupted electricity proved to be the game changer for LUTH. The outgoing CMD threw more light on how he was able to achieve the feat.
And mentors, giants in the field, but not just giants, they had principles, they had great ideas on how things work, how to make things work. Part of that, you never take no for an answer. You go for it, give it all you need to go.
In 8 years, Professor Bode attracted about 35 billion worth of investments, with more than half of that coming from non-government sources. He was acutely aware of the fact that government alone could not fully fund such a gigantic institution. His hard work has helped LUTH to improve capacity.
We spoke to government. I must commend Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. Told him, look, we're the federal presence in Surulere, the biggest federal presence. And through his intervention, we got the 5 billion naira project that will create a totally new 256-room outpatient clinic for LUTH.
It was time for Professor Bode to show me some new structures in the teaching hospital, beginning with the 30-bed intensive care unit, the biggest in West Africa. It has 4 beds for children and 2 beds for the newborn. The new ICU has 18 private rooms and 12 open rooms. The ICU has a training room, and on the day I visited, training was in fact in progress.
They are the current one. So if there's any change, you can compare the current situation.
Newborns definitely get a good deal in the new LUTH, given the array of equipment available here. From here we move to the cancer complex of the teaching hospital. One of the pieces of good news at LUTH is the Halima Atta Oncology Ward. The building was built and equipped by Mrs. Yabo Atta at a cost of 1.5 billion naira in memory of her daughter, Halima, who died of cancer 7 years ago. I'm right here inside the reception of the Halima Atta Oncology Center, Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Idiaraba. Halima Atta died of cancer, and the family took it upon themselves to deliver this center to Lagos University Teaching Hospital so that many more lives can be saved. And this is the bust in memory of Halima Atta, a native of Kogi State, born 5th April 1967, and she died on 6th June 2015. The family spent 1.5 billion naira to deliver this oncology center to LUTH. I moved from here to the children's unit of the oncology center. Beside the Halima Atta Oncology Ward is the sprawling NSIA/LUTH Cancer Center. The Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority, NSIA, invested $11.5 million in LUTH Cancer Center. The old cancer center that had been standing for 41 years was taken down and rebuilt. It built inside this cancer center an 18-seater chemotherapy suite and 8 consulting rooms as well as a treatment planning room. It is equipped with 3 linear accelerators, computerized tomography machines, and a lot more modern equipment. Thanks to this far-sighted project that was inaugurated by President Muhammadu Buhari in February 2019, more than 7,000 cancer patients have been treated since its inauguration. Professor Olufemi Fasomade, Chief Clinical Coordinator of the Cancer Center, showed me around and explained that the Cancer Center is a game changer.
And we also have Halcyon machine, making it 3 machines, therapy machine in one place, and that's the most comprehensive in West Africa. There's no other center in West Africa that has 3 therapy machines in one place.
Dr. Mohammed Habibu threw more light on what they do here and the future of cancer treatment in Nigeria, thanks to this cancer center that is reputed to be the best in West and Central Africa.
When a patient comes with cancer, they send them to have the image of the cancer done again. And we call that CT simulation, which means they take a picture of the cancer and feed it into this machine. So you can see that is like a cross-section of the abdomen. And
this is where they take the picture.
And this is where...
At this cancer center that has put Nigeria back on the world map, prostate cancer in men, head and neck cancer in men, childhood cancer, breast and cervical cancer in women are treated. It is believed that with more and more awareness and with people coming early for treatment, cancer will kill less people in Nigeria. The LUTH Bone Marrow Transplantation Center is a quadripartite project with the Sickle Cell Foundation of Nigeria, Lagos State Government, Vanderbilt University, Tennessee, USA, and LUTH. It is built to be open for business in July this year. The center is significant because Nigeria has the highest number of sickle cell patients in the world, given that it has the highest population of black people in the world.
It puts us on the international map of centers that can do the latest type of bone marrow transplantation in the world consistently, because we are putting all the facilities in place.
Thanks to the partnership with the Nigerian breweries and other international agencies, LUTH has a fully rehabilitated and equipped labor ward and a new neonatal unit. The Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, donated 300 street lights and 6 patient lifts to LUTH, with a promise to donate even more. LUTH has benefited tremendously from partnership with corporate Nigeria. The 120-bed Block A has been rehabilitated and equipped by Airtel Nigeria. Block C has been rehabilitated by the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas Company. 2 operation theaters were donated by Kids OR for the exclusive use of children. One of the big testaments to LUTH's capacity to leverage on private and corporate bodies to help freshen up infrastructure is the dialysis center as well as the Nephrology Institute, built by the family of Isaac Olushola Dada and the Lions Club at a cost of 350 million. This is followed by a grant of 1 billion naira from the Lagos State Government to build and equip a research center named Olushola Dada Nephrology Institute. A Japanese company then donated 15 brand new next generation dialysis machines. With its 32-bed capacity, it is the biggest dialysis center in Nigeria today.
Brand new machines, 15 of them donated to this center by a Japanese company. When they came and said, well, you have this, we donate brand new.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu donated the sum of 150 million and an ambulance to LUTH, which admitted more than 1,000 patients during the COVID-19 lockdown. The most chilling news of all is that the future of LUTH is even brighter, Across the road is a project facilitated by House of Representatives Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila, proceeding at an impressive pace. It is the 5 billion naira 250-room outpatient clinics. Professor Bode is confident that if the progress at LUTH is sustained, and with all hands on deck, medical tourism will be reduced to the barest minimum in Nigeria. Babajide Kolade Otitoju, TVC News, Idiaraba, Lagos State.
Wow, good one there. You know, since I lost my father in 2003, this particular hospital, I've lost hope in any public hospital. You know, not even the highest. They used to tell us about UI then, the teaching hospital that the king of Saudi Arabia used to come and take their yearly medical facility and everything there. So I lost hope, and I never knew that something was in the offing for LUTH. That's the Lagos University Teaching Hospital. But for a long time, for sustained investment, the Lagos State government has always, you know, instrumentally doing something at LUTH. But I thought because of the underfunding, federal government's inability to fund federal institutions, that they're not reaching out to these teaching hospitals before you have, this is like a mind-blowing expose about LUTH.
Yes, and it says a lot about Professor Chris Bode, who two Fridays ago officially ended his tenure, his 2-year tenure as the CMD of LUTH. Professor Bode is one of a kind. Someone called me to say, Jide, you like to highlight some positive things happening in our country. There is a gentleman at LUTH. He's a Nigerian hero. He's done so many things that if you go there, will blow your mind. The first time they told me was like 3 months ago. But it was just 2 Fridays ago that I decided to go there. What I saw, the equipment that I saw, you know, because
for a public institution,
when you enter LUTH, you see that things are happening. Now it's trying to even achieve color uniformity, whereby all the buildings will be the same color. Infrastructure refreshing. The refreshing of infrastructure is going on at a very impressive pace at LUTH. And a hospital needs the right equipment. Yeah. The equipment available at LUTH that I saw, honestly, I couldn't believe my eyes. And some of those things for which people are going abroad for Medicare, LUTH can easily sort out those problems with what they have at their disposal. A lot of them, a lot of quality equipment, and he also served the people, served the institution to the best of his ability, because the staff were saying, look, this man knows everything, you know, that even ties, you would touch whatever you have done, and you said, no, I'm not impressed with this, you have to do it better. So he's just a man committed to excellence, and his time at LUTH.
This will impact on the students, medical students.
Of course.
This kind of
equipment. Who will not be proud when there is solid equipment for you? There was a place that I saw something, I like asking questions. I said, what is this? He said, look, a nurse does not need to come and administer injections. You can see them. The equipment, those injections will have been stacked there, so that once it's time, it gets done. So the equipment at LUTH makes LUTH look like a 1-year-old tertiary hospital. And some of those things for which people are going to those private hospitals, you know, LUTH has them already, if not more.
More qualified.
I think the ICU was opened officially on March 27, a day before my birthday. That ICU They gave them money to build, I think, 15 bed ICU. This man moved it to 30 beds.
30.
That's how to use the opportunity that God has given you. Use it to improve mankind. Professor Bode has shown that he is a man after God's heart. Because if you can, if our rich people are convinced that their money will be used judicially in this manner, I can tell you that more
people will come out.
Yes. 1.5 for a family to bring 1.5 billion and build an oncological center to stop people from dying from cancer. For a family to bring 350 million to build a dialysis center that is now the biggest in the country. Look, the more you are able to do this, the more people will have greater confidence and they will make their money available.
When you look at this is something that, I don't know, the federal government should just, or Nigerians, wealthy Nigerians should just take a cue from and just all our teaching hospitals across the country. If we start with that, we're not saying build new hospitals, but make sure you upgrade and update, equip all our teaching hospitals.
I've visited virtually all the teaching hospitals in Nigeria. Many times. From the Madam Fudio University Teaching Hospital to this, to that, the north, down to the southwest, to the southeast. But something stands out in LUTH. 8 years of Professor Chris Bode. That teaching hospital for life we never forget, man.
For life.
For life, I'm saying it. Recently, I was so moved. I called a mutual friend, Mr. Tajudin, Karim. I said, this man, your friend, I'm afraid that I will not see him as a professor of surgery or this. He said, why? I said, I will forever see him as a visionary administrator. That I've never seen somebody in public office who's been able to achieve so much within a short period of time. All those things you saw in the video was done during his 8 years. And
we didn't even show everything.
I don't know. I can tell you. We didn't show everything. I can show you many things I've done on LUTH, so I know what I'm talking about. I don't need to rely on that video to talk. I can show you many, special reports, features. Believe me, at a point, I've sat down with him many times, and I know. One day, I was just looking at him that, where do you have this visionary thinking that you just believe that you cannot be bogged down by federal government didn't give us money, they didn't release budget, they didn't release this. No. He knows how to penetrate the right quarters to get things done. Look at that RENA, institute. The RENA Center, there's an institute on top of it for RENA research, RENA story. So he will get money for one thing, he knows how to make it double. So
the man died. The man who made the promise is Isaac. He died, and the president, he was able to apply pressure on the family. The family now fulfilled the promise that the man made before he died. 350 million.
So when they turned the
how does he manage to talk to them?
No, when they turned the sword, the president of Lions International came to Nigeria. So he mobilized all the resources without one dime from the government of Nigeria. If you go there now, there is nothing like that in any part of Nigeria. From one section to another. See, at a point, I said, okay, who is this man? I was asking our mutual friend that. I won't see this man as a professor or something. I will just continue to see him as one visionary administrator.
Just exemplary.
I think our people should keep it coming. If we see people like this prof, we want to know, achieving giant strides, making giant strides.
I've never seen anybody who knows how to get things done. Do you know that he decentralizes even ideas for his own, administration. That those of you that are in charge of so, you said, oh,
look at one woman there that we interviewed. She said she was a patient. She was his patient, and then she's working for him now.
He said sometimes that he said he doesn't know it or that it is the people manage social section that we just bring the idea. Say, okay, sit down. What can we do?
Because his doors are open.
You have this complaint. Sit down. What can we do?
So fantastic.
Right from there, they will design a solution, and it is home now, Lord, to now go around to sort
look for money,
and they will get. So he said he is working hard to make sure that this medical tourism, medical breeding. No. If you go to look
by the time they are through with the 5 billion outpatient, 256 room
bed space
outpatient department.
There won't be. The moment they finish that one, there won't be issue of no bed space in LUTH again for life.
Because he was telling me something, he said some people, when they hear that there's no bed space, it's like it's a death sentence for them. So LUTH will be able to expand its scope with this one coming in. And at LUTH now, even payment for services is computerized.
Yes, it's
so you are not going to be able to steal money.
You won't carry your cards around in LUTH now. Anywhere, if you prove from pharmacy to anything, everything is there.
And you see the pharmacy, you see the drugs, man. It's just that this was a short version of the story. You will have seen so many things.
A government institution running effectively. That shows that some of
24 hours electricity, uninterrupted.
If we have the right people in
the right places,
believe me, it doesn't take Nigeria 100 years to transform.
All right. I want to thank you. Adekunle Yusuf, thank you. And Mr. himself,
thanks.
Bikio, thank you for this wonderful contribution. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for the regular episode of Journalist Hangout by 5 p.m. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. You are on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
Politics is defined as getting what, where, when, and how. But in the mix, many things come to play to shape the political fortune of any country.
Honorable Minister, that's how you misinform the public.
From the political actors to the electorate, campaign to voting, from debates to policy decisions, big events happen to engage us in constant conversation.
That's what we're looking for. Not some people who are talking about ethnicity. No.
Who is on your mind?
Don't worry.
Join me every day on Politics Tonight, where we dissect issues that shape our political destiny. Politics Tonight, weekdays on TVC News.
When shippers groan under the weight of ceaseless charges that tend to throw them off balance in the sector, Nigerian Shippers Council promptly comes to their rescue.
We know that we are achieving something.
Today, you now have a regulator.
To get justice done without the money for any charges.
It's Tidbit, the world's biggest container ship and the first to break the 24,000 TEU mark.
Allah Inland Dry Port is born again. Finally, the eagle has landed.
It is initiatives like this that we want to encourage.
Join us for a smooth sail on your favorite maritime program, The Shipper, brought to you by Nigerian Shippers Council, Nigeria's port economic regulator.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, where the black gold continues to flow and fuel Africa's largest economy, where the line between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Oil, gas, politics, development, and community issues all are highly valuable commodities in the Niger Delta. How do they combine and how can they work together to spawn a new era in the Niger Delta? As he probes deep to analyze issues in the region from angles never before explored. Inside the Niger Delta with Mamode Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
The TVC News at 7 and the TVC News at 10 are not like any other news broadcast.
It's the big news hour, the hour for the big breaking stories.
We've got some of the best reporters on the field,
Taking you through as it happens.
It's fast-paced, hard-hitting,
With investigations that matter.
bringing in news that affects your life.
With sport, entertainment, and business news so you don't miss a thing.
Experience resourceful coverage with depth.
Every night. At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
You and Your Health is brought to you by Doctors Save a Life Foundation.
Far beyond witches and wizards is the root cause of health problem of many in Africa. Seek professional advice concerning that your health matter.
Save a Life Foundation is an NGO with a unique vision of giving total health for all through the power of knowledge. Your health is your strength. Your health is your prosperity. Your health is your life. Give it professional attention. You and Your Health.
With Dr. Richard Okoye, now on TVC News every Sunday by 3:30 p.m.
Hello, I'm Dr. Richard Okoye, the president of Doctors Save a Life Foundation. It's a non-governmental organization with a clear vision of giving total health to the people of Africa through the power of knowledge. We have covered the high level of ignorance happening in our society. Today, I will show you in part 3 of this series, medical treatment in the eyes of new technology. And as a matter of fact, this is when you will maybe have some sense of pain in your heart. And why is that pain? As a reflection that if what you got to know today has been applied to some of our people that have suffered the horrible pain of death and just died in misery, buried on things that are preventable. The word preventable, you get to see amazing thing today.